We can't get free till everybody's free. Comrades, revolutionaries, and truth seekers, welcome to another episode of the Colonizer's Coffin, giving you blunt discussion, real news, cynical takes on pop culture, and raw history, no chaser. I am your host, John Tell, and let us embark on a journey through time and truths that shape our world, from the untold stories of history to today's pressing issues. This is the space where knowledge meets revolution. Together, let's explore the narratives that have been hidden, discuss the challenges we face, the stuff we don't discuss enough, and unravel the mysteries that surround us. We're not just observers, we're active participants in the revolution of knowledge.
Destruction and chaos is all around me. I often think about how my life could have been, and how I would still have a home, and how my two best friends, Maymana and Abraham, would still be alive.
My heart aches every single day for Maymana and Abraham, who were killed in their homes by the Israeli airstrikes.
Maymana was a As I walk on the streets in Gaza, death, destruction, and chaos is all around me. I often think about how my life could have been, and how I would still have a home, and how my two best friends, Maymana and Abraham, would still be alive.
My heart aches every single day for Maymana and Abraham, who were killed in their homes by the Israeli airstrikes.
Maymana was a beautiful soul, and so creative. I'd always brag about how great she was. We talked for hours on end, talking about anything and everything, or just being silly.
Is it me, or are we best friends?
Yeah!
Every moment with her was full of love and laughter. Her talent for painting was extraordinary. This painting of a yellow flower will always hold a special place in my heart. Little did I know, it would be her last gift to me. It broke my heart, having to leave it behind, just like I had to leave her. Abraham was the most kind and funny person I'd ever met. Not to mention also the smartest.
This kingdom needs a king.
We got to know each other when working on a play about King Odysseus at a theater project in Gaza. He played the role of a king and would just make everyone laugh, and was rarely seen without his camera capturing the good times.
But with both of them gone, I don't think that there will be any good moments. I need them so much right now, and I need them more than ever. But I know that they are now in a better place. I just know.
Now, life in Rafah is hard. I wake up trying to survive another day. Thankful, my family and I are alive. For 2 weeks, we stayed in a tent in Khan Yunis, shared by 7 people. Water is the hardest thing to ever find here. Rarely, bottles are given to us like this on a truck. But with so little, we were forced to drink salty water for a while.
So if we don't die from airstrikes, we're gonna die from dehydration and starvation. When this war is over, there's another one waiting for us. The agony in our hearts. Going back home and seeing everything crumbled into pieces. Gone just like the tens of thousands of Palestinian men, women, and children killed in this war. I hope that my story has meant something to you, and you can think of us as human beings, not just numbers, because this is me giving you a sneak peek into hell.
The ICJ has just delivered its interim ruling. The case was brought by South Africa, which accuses Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. Among the measures approved, the court has ordered Israel to, quote, take all measures within its power to prevent genocide in Gaza.
NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv. Matt, good morning. So walk us through this ruling here. What are the emergency measures it's ordered?
Yeah, so this was a consequential ruling because, there's this, there were these issues of whether or not the court could even have jurisdiction over this. Israel had asked for this case to be thrown out, and this was a case that was brought by South Africa. Some 8 injunctions brought against Israel, and the court ruling, which we just heard just moments ago, said that Israel needs to ensure it does not commit genocide, punish those who incite to genocide, provide humanitarian assistance to Gaza, prevent the destruction of evidence of the genocide, and that Israel needs to submit a report to the court in the next month describing how they have worked towards all of these measures that you're now seeing on your screen. So we should be hearing from Israel in a month if they're hoping to comply with the court. Worth noting that the International Court of Justice doesn't have any teeth to impose these punishments, and Israel
Greetings. If you have just tuned in, and if you are not aware, the ICJ, otherwise known as the International Court of Justice, has made their ruling today. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I just want to remind y'all, please hit the like button, share the stream, follow us on all our platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitch, and Spotify. Just search the Leon Block. So, the ICJ. While we're at it, make sure you call 202-902-7660. Tell Congress to call for a ceasefire now. Remember, it will take pressure from the world to get Israel to stop this. It won't come from within. The ICJ, I will put a link in the comment section in a second via Al Jazeera. The recent decision by the International Court of Justice ordering Israel to take measures to limit death and destruction in Gaza marks a significant development in a case brought forward by South Africa. This legal action alleges that Israel's military operations in its quote-unquote conflict with Hamas constitute genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. While the court's order falls short of implementing a ceasefire, it does exert political pressure on Israel to work towards de-escalation. How do you think Israel will react to this decision going forward? The ICJ's order, characterized as an advisory opinion, is not enforceable by the court. Again, it's not enforceable by the court. Nevertheless, its importance lies in urging Israel to submit a report within a month detailing the actions it has taken to prevent acts in Gaza that could be considered genocidal. These acts include killing members of a group, imposing conditions that could hinder childbirth, and preventing and punishing public comments that incite genocide. The court has also directed Israel to ensure the adequate flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. And there are clips of Zionists blocking aid from reaching Gaza, as well as the IOF and Israeli government from reaching Palestinians. So do you think they will listen to the ICJ's quote-unquote suggestion? Or do you think they will continue? I personally believe the latter. This development comes amidst a genocide unlike the world has ever seen in our lifetimes within this level of intensity and speed. And it has seen significant loss of life and widespread displacement. According to the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza, Israel's military has killed more than 26,000 Palestinians, the majority of them women and children. So it's crucial to educate yourself, gather all perspective, and think critically. Here are some questions to ponder. The legal implications. So how does the ICJ's advisory opinion impact international law, and what are the potential legal consequences for Israel? Intent and genocide. Considering the definition of genocide in the UN's Genocide Convention, how challenging is it to prove genocidal intent in this context? Because what's happening right now is they're basically saying, yes, this is genocide. We urge you to do certain things, but what else can they do beyond that? Civilian casualties. How do you think Israel may try to appear to balance a fine line between trying to avoid civilian casualties with the significant number of reported Palestinian casualties and continuing to decimate Gaza and wreak havoc on West Bank and Lebanon to continue to commit genocide? I'm very curious to see how that plays out, because I think they're not going to skirt a fine line at all. They're just going to continue doing what they're doing. Humanitarian concerns. In what ways does the ICJ's emphasis on ensuring the flow of humanitarian aid address the critical needs of the population in Gaza? Political pressures. How might this ICJ order influence the political dynamics of the Israeli genocide? And what role could international pressure now play in promoting a ceasefire? As events unfold, it's essential to stay informed, critically assess information from various sources, and consider the broader implications of these legal and geopolitical developments as it affects us as well. In some other news, the Spotify CEO, Daniel Ek, is worth $3.8 billion. He sells music others create and pays them virtually nothing. He's never written a song and is 3 times richer than Paul McCartney. What's your thoughts on that? Because my first thoughts are I need to sign up to Even. And I've been wanting to do this for a minute, and I know that they offer fair wages for artists and give you a direct line to connecting with those artists. The Urban Conservative is actually on there, and I need to follow. So speaking of the Urban Conservative, make sure you go catch his web show. He just was live about an hour ago. His latest webisode on his web show today took a deep dive into the violence, the drugs, gangs, and politics, especially in Minneapolis, but Minnesota as a whole, as an entirety, especially the corruption that goes on. And when they're talking about, because he has a special guest, when they're talking about gangs, they're meaning like the politicians and the ones that uphold the status quo and support them. It's part 3 in a breathtaking series covering crucial topics that help shed light on situations that, when highlighted and discussed, can lead to change. So make sure you go and check that out. We've really been making sure that we're providing some clear analysis of things, so you will see us begin to start breaking things down a little more. So why are we called the colonizer's coffin? Because it's high time for the current system to die. It must be unalived before it destroys us and this planet. Prepare the casket and service, because this capitalist system, imperial interests, proxy wars, coups, and inequities of wealth must cease. The oppressed of the world are starting to wise up and rise up. Internal and external conflicts the world over will eventually reach a boiling point. Where will you stand when the high tide comes? When the high time comes? Where do you stand now? Are you a part of maintaining the status quo? Or are you for exposing truths and rewriting history? The coffin is open until the case is closed. I want to talk about if anyone has heard of this story, the chemical attack on pro-Palestinian protesters. Columbia students allegedly are not backing down from this because there has not been, from what I'm hearing so far, no reprimanding of these students that committed these heinous attacks against pro-Palestinian protesters. So this story that I'm going to read off was produced by Student Nation, a program of the National Fund for Independent Journalism, which is dedicated to highlighting the best of student journalism. On November 10th of 2023, Columbia University suspended student groups Jewish Voice for Peace and Students for Justice in Palestine through the end of the fall semester, and as of now, the suspension remains in effect. The two groups repeatedly violated university policies related to holding campus events, culminating in an unauthorized event on November 9th afternoon, quote, said Gerald Roseberg, a senior executive vice president of Columbia University. He concluded that this suspension noticed by saying, quote, like all student groups, SJP and JVP are required to abide by university policies and procedures. I want to know what they did wrong and what crimes they are perceived to have committed, because as far as I'm concerned, they have been simply exerting their right to free speech and protest. Protest of major stature have always taken place on college campuses, especially when it comes to wars. Complicating matters, though, 1 week after making these statements, Rosberg confirmed during a university senate plenary that senior administration changed the university's events policies without consultation or input from the university senate, as would typically be for other university-wide policy updates. He also acknowledged that pro-Palestine events have avoided violence and have gone extremely well, which can be seen as a reflection of successful implementation of event policies. The speed with which the university and its affiliates like Barnard College have sought to review and revise policies that impact student organizations' ability to proceed with educational, social, and political programming is unprecedented and yet underwhelming in the face of an organized student body and supportive faculty. Since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th and Israel's subsequent military action in Gaza and the amazingly amount of deaths that they have committed in their genocidal acts, American universities have become significant sites of nationwide attention, pro-Palestine protests, and naturally, education regarding the ongoing war. So, there have been a number of these rallies being held. More than 100 faculty and graduate workers publicly rallied with a list of 5 demands, including that Columbia publicly recognized that academic freedom protects all forms of political speech, including critiques of Israeli state policies and Zionist political ideology, and this was on November 15th of last year. The Bernard WGSS faculty have republished their censored statement on a new non-college affiliated website. Likewise, SJP and JVP and other pro-Palestine student groups, many of which are still recognized by the university, have gone forward with hosting pro-Palestine protests, educational events, and mutual aid fundraisers. On December 4th, students from the Bernard Columbia Abolition Collective, Student Worker Solidarity, and the Columbia Bernard Young Democratic Socialist of America, all members of the Columbia University Apartheid Divest Group, continued their action for Palestine by calling for a tuition strike during the spring 2024 semester. Ultimately, The strike was called off during the first week of classes after an online vote amongst students, but organizers plan to continue collecting pledges from current students to withhold donations to the university until our demands are met. The group's demands for the strike included investment in policing transparency, cutting ties between Columbia Public Safety and NYPD for protesting and crowd control purposes, and most notably, a binding divestment referendum, a reference to September 2020 when Columbia College students voted favorably for a referendum asking if Columbia should divest its stocks, funds, and endowment from companies that profit from engaging or engage in the state of Israel's acts towards Palestinians. Former university president Lee Bollinger rejected that approach, saying that, quote, altering our endowments in order to advance the interests of one side is not among the paths we will take, end quote. But the protests by SJP and its affiliates are met with a new threat at a peaceful action this past Friday on January 19th. Columbia SJP reported that protesters were sprayed with a horrible smelling stink bomb at the event, before later posting an update that the foul product was identified as a product known as skunk. And it's an Israeli developed chemical weapon which is used as recently as December in East Jerusalem on Muslim worshippers. Dozens of students told The Spectator that the spray left a strong odor, one that smelled akin to a dead body. According to one graduate student, that led to nausea, burning skin and eyes, and soiled clothing and hair. Numerous students were hospitalized and received care for chemical inhalation. Quote, at this demonstration, 2 students sprayed an odorous chemical at CUAD protesters, and quote, reads a press release from the Columbia University Apartheid Divest Coalition on Tuesday. Following a student and community attempts to find the deployers, we identified them as 2 former IOF officers who were current Columbia School of General Studies students. Columbia administration did not respond to the incident until 3 days later, when interim Provost Dennis A. Mitchell announced that the alleged perpetrators had been banned, though not academically suspended, from campus while an NYPD investigation proceeded. January 24th, students gathered on campus again, prompting Columbia administration to restrict campus access to only university affiliates and ID holders from noon onwards, a practice that has been ongoing since October, but attendees chanted things like Manu Shafiq, you must pay, medical bills are on the way, and held posters calling for divestment and a ceasefire. Quote, in light of the 119 attack, we reiterate our demand for an end to the IOF General Studies program and the dual degree program between Columbia and Tel Aviv University, wrote CUAD. Despite the clear dangers we face at Columbia, CUAD remains committed to Palestinian liberation. I want to know how you all feel about this, how you feel about our freedoms and freedom of speech from the students, our upcoming generations of educated people, so to speak, having their rights being trampled on for speaking up on the issues surrounding the genocidal acts being committed by Israel on Palestinians. Do you think that this is fair? Please share and like this stream. It's important that this information gets shared. The coffin is open until the case is closed. I'm going to put the questions that I've asked you concerning Palestine and the ICJ's decision in the comments, because it is crucial you educate yourself, gather all perspective, and think critically, right? And, asking yourself questions can help. I'm going to go ahead and post these in the comments for you all. Remember that this fight for freedom for Palestine, right, is a fight against imperialism, which is a fight that we all are involved in, as this world and economy and everything is global. We directly pay to kill Palestinians. We all do. All right, so that wraps up my ramble for today. Let's next time dive deep into some other things surrounding pop culture. I'll divert away from Palestine and the genocidal wars going on and bring up something a little lighter, maybe still a little darker, but still a little lighter. Maybe I'll bring a special guest on. Remember, y'all can call in. Your voice matters. And y'all can catch us on Facebook at X. Facebook, X, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Oh my goodness, I've been talking too much today. Let's spread the wisdom and knowledge. Tune in, engage, and join the revolution. Follow, share, set your reminders. Together, let's unravel the threads of history and explore the untold stories. Let's draw the connection between the history, societal events, and how we can make better changes through asking ourselves critical questions based off information that we actually seek out and explore. As we reach the ending of today's episode, I want to thank every one of y'all for joining me. Your engagement, your questions and thoughts make revolutionary narratives what they are. Remember, the revolution doesn't end here. Stay curious, question the narratives, and continue seeking the truth. Share your insights with us, and let's build a community that thrives on knowledge and understanding. The coffin is open until the case is closed. Don't forget to tune in next time for another chapter of Revelations. Until next time, this is John Tell. Stay revolutionary.